Welcome back to the Chat Factory, everybody. It's another talking slash ranting video. Today we're going to be covering one of the most prominent issues in the fitness industry today, and that is the rise of body dysmorphia. Now, with the absolutely rampant increase of absolutely ridiculous physiques out there, just people that are 1 in a million, 1 in a billion for some cases, it can be quite daunting, especially with the ease of access to social media. It can be quite daunting to see all of these perfectly sculpted physiques with just outlandish muscles and just ridiculous waists and all sorts of crazy stuff. And that often leads lots of people, especially young people, to feel somewhat inadequate or have self-image issues. And that's really what body dysmorphia is. To see yourself or paint yourself in a light that's not so favourable, and perceive yourself as being less than or, like I said, inadequate to standards set by often social media, but also some people hold themselves to a bit of an unrealistic standard. And it's a very prominent issue in the fitness industry today, especially with how rapidly that industry is growing. So today I'm just going to be going through my battle with body dysmorphia, and I'm a very open book type of person, so there's nothing that I'll really hide, especially when I think that sharing my experiences could help out other people. So without further ado, let's get into how I've struggled with body dysmorphia currently, in the past, and just what I want you guys to know if you're stepping foot in the industry, and what to expect and how to properly feel if you ever catch yourself in some of these thoughts of, oh, like, how is this person has such a better physique than me, or whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter. But let's just figure it all out together. And I just want to say this now, and I'll reiterate later, but you're not in this alone. And if you're watching this because you also are struggling with body dysmorphia, then believe me, you're not alone. You're certainly going through this along with so many other people, whether they want to talk about it or not. That might lead you to believe that people aren't struggling with it, but I know for a fact that a lot of people keep this behind closed doors. But I just wanted to make this video to tell you that you're not alone. But we'll have more on that later. But for now, let's just talk about some of the things that I've experienced, and maybe if you can relate, then you'll start to feel like, okay, well, I'm not the only one, and maybe it does get better. So, and I can tell you for certain, you're doing fine, and just keep pushing. But let's get into some of the things that I've experienced with body dysmorphia. And I just want to preface all of this by saying that there's that saying, and I'm sure you've heard it, the day you start lifting or whatever is the day you become forever small. And I think a lot of people just think like, oh, that's a silly quote, like it doesn't even make any sense. But it actually, from a mental perspective, it's very telling of how it feels to be in this industry and how it feels to pursue bodybuilding, because you're always going to have some feeling of inadequacy, or that you're not living up to expectations when you start doing this, because there will always be bigger fish to fry. There will always be someone with a slightly better physique than you. Maybe not even a slightly better physique, but there's always going to be someone with a slightly better body part than you, and then you'll just catastrophize and you'll think that, oh, just because they have this one thing, then that means I'm subpar and whatever. So just keep that in mind. There's always going to be bigger fish to fry, but that doesn't mean that you can't keep working towards the best version of yourself, because that's all we can really do. So let's stop this little preface and get into my experiences. Some of the most annoying things about body dysmorphia, I should say, is that the feeling of no confidence or no, the worry of not meeting people's expectations, I think, is more of what I struggle with. For example, when I go to the beach or swimming or whatever, I won't take my shirt off. Like I'll just go in with my shirt on, and it's led to a lot of judgment. For example, I went on a boys' trip towards the end of last year, and we went to, because I live in one of the most beautiful scenic coastal towns and regions in the world. So we went to the one of the most amazing places with some of the most amazing beaches ever. And then we were doing a lot of swimming, but it can come across as very confusing when everyone's jumping in the water and I'm running in there fully clothed. And people are going, that's a bit odd. But that judgment doesn't bother me too much, because I would much prefer them to judge I would much prefer them to judge me for wearing my shirt in the water, rather than I would prefer them to judge me for what they might see had I taken off my shirt, if that makes sense. And I think the fear of living up to all those expectations can be quite debilitating. It makes you feel like there's not really much you can do without being judged. But that's okay, because each day, you get closer to getting past this whole shtick of body dysmorphia. But that's just one example of something I struggle with. Another thing that really annoys me is if I'm ever feeling like if I don't have a pump or whatever, and I'm just fresh out of bed in the morning or whatever it might be, and you walk past a mirror or like a window with a reflective surface or whatever, like I will completely shy away from that. Like I won't look anywhere near that. Sometimes I'll get out of my shower and then there's a massive mirror in front of me, and I'm like I'll turn around, face my back to the mirror, and then dry off and whatever else, facing completely away from the mirror, because I just don't even want the thought of seeing something that might displease me. So that can be a bit annoying as well at times, as you can imagine, and maybe if you've experienced the same thing, then you can relate. But there's plenty more examples of things that that body dysmorphia interferes with. I'll rattle off a couple of them now, but I won't go into quite such depth. A couple of examples. Whenever I see people and like they want to go in for a hug or whatever, even just like a bro hug, I hate that, because I fear that the moment that their hand like touches my back, or like if they just do one on the arm, like my bicep might not be as big as they might think or whatever, or my back might not have as much like crevice or density. It's really weird to try and explain this to people that aren't in the space or haven't suffered from something similar, because it can seem a bit ridiculous, and I can understand the logic, like no one's going to really judge you for that, nor do they even care. But that's part of the way that it tricks your mind, is that it makes you think that people are going to have all of these judgments and perceived notions about you, when in reality they just really don't care. And it's quite funny, because they just don't care, but in your mind it feels like they are really, really going to critique you, and that slight fear can be quite debilitating. And there's many more little things that having body dysmorphia interferes with. For example, you'll never really see me in any sort of clothing that's not a couple sizes too big, because I'm afraid that if it like shrink wraps me or whatever, then people might see the nooks and crannies and just be like, that's not really an aspiring bodybuilder physique. But there's just many more things, and I could go on forever and ever. And if you've experienced this, then you know what I'm talking about. There's plenty of things out there that body dysmorphia interferes with, both mentally, physically, socially. But the takeaway from this video that I want you to have is that, like I said before, there is always going to be a better physique, or a better body part, or someone with, something that you are envious of or jealous of. And that's fine. But that's not necessarily what body dysmorphia is about. It's more about your perception of yourself is often not quite what it is in reality. For example, you could be lifting for 10 plus years, you could have an absolutely incredible physique, but internally you still struggle with the thought that it's not enough, or you could still acknowledge that you have a good physique, but to you it might not meet the standards of what you think it should be. Now, I have a very average physique, so you might be watching this video thinking, like, yeah, in a way you should be thinking that, you know, your physique's not up to par, because the reality is that it's not, and you're right in saying that. Like, my physique wouldn't stack up against anyone in the upper echelon of the fitness industry. But that doesn't mean that you or I or whatever, wherever you might be up to, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still be proud of how far we've come, and moving from your starting point, wherever that may be, whether you started really skinny or started overweight, getting to where you are now, that's the thing that you should be proud of. And it also should just give you more encouragement to keep persisting towards your goal, rather than seeing how good some people are and how amazing their physiques are. That shouldn't make you think, oh, I'll never get there, like there's no point of trying. It should just make you think, okay, I've done what I've done to get to this point, so I'm just going to keep going and see how far I can push that envelope. And that's the other point of this video, is that I don't want to say all of these negative things, experiences that I've had to deter you from entering the space, because realistically, health, fitness, bodybuilding to a fault is an absolutely amazing thing for your body, for your mental health, for everything. So I definitely don't want to deter you from the space just because body dysmorphia is a rampant and growing issue. I just wanted to make this video to tell you the things that you might be able to expect, to tell you that you're not alone, to tell you not to give up, and just to overall spread the message that body dysmorphia is a very real issue, and it can very seriously affect different parts of your life. And with that said, it might be slightly hypocritical for me to go ahead and put a workout at the end of this, because you might be feeling like, you know, I don't want to see a physique again at the end of this video. Like, I don't want to even think about that. But I'm going to put a video there because I want you to remember, and I want it to be sort of a little symbol that you do just need to keep pushing forward, and you do just need to keep working towards those goals. So this workout, while you're watching, even if you skip off, I don't mind. But if you're watching, just remember that each workout is one step closer to your goal, and each day is going to pass anyway, so you may as well make the most of it. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope that if you've been struggling with something like this, then you can relate, and you can understand now that you're not in this alone. And plenty of people are going through very similar things. So if you feel that way, please subscribe to the channel and follow along as we go through this. If you want to ever talk about anything like this or share some experiences, then hit me up over in my DMs on Instagram, and I'll always reply. I'll always give a good chat, just because sometimes it can just take one person with a completely objective viewpoint to tell you maybe what you need to hear, or just to have a good conversation with you about whatever it is that you might be struggling with. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy this workout, and I hope it motivates you to go the next step and just keep taking it day by day, and not let the sometimes warped perception of your self-image to interfere with all of the things in your life that you want to do. So that's going to do it, guys. I'll see you over in the gym. Thank you so much for watching, and it's been Jai. See ya.
just want you. The words I never said but wanted to. I'm losing